For over a decade, the state of Pennsylvania has been embroiled in a controversy regarding the management of white-tailed deer. During this time, the Pennsylvania Game Commission has continued to reduce the size of the deer herd to levels that are unacceptable to sportsmen. Whereas the Game Commission has claimed that their reason for decimating the herd is based on sound science, independent scientific investigation has uncovered documentation that the deer management program is not based on sound science, but instead on the personal agenda of a handful of people. The following program will separate fact from fiction. It is sponsored and underwritten by the Allegheny County Sportsmen's League, dedicated to serving the best interests of sportsmen and the wildlife resource of the Commonwealth. This presentation was given by John Eveland, one of Pennsylvania's most experienced wildlife ecologists. He is a national specialist on North American ecosystems who has conducted scientific research for government and industry in over 30 states and provinces of Canada. Of Pennsylvania's 3 big game mammals, white-tailed deer, black bear, and elk, John conducted the first statewide research, wrote the original state management plans, and is in large part responsible for the recovery and success of 2 of these species, black bear and elk. Because of his success with bear research in the early 1970s, John was asked to conduct the first scientific investigation of Pennsylvania's elk herd as a member of the Penn State faculty. There he developed the first state elk management plan for the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Resources and the Pennsylvania Game Commission. You may review his biography at the end of this presentation.
Hi, my name is George Taylor. I'd like to welcome you all to Dormont Mount Lebanon Sportsmen's Club. This is our monthly membership meeting. And at this time, I'd ask you to rise and join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. John's going to talk to us about the Game Commission politics. And John's a wildlife ecologist. And I'd ask you to hold your questions until the end so that we can let John get through his presentation.
Thanks, George. Thanks for having me tonight. I conducted research on black bears in Pennsylvania a long time ago. It was the first statewide bear research that was conducted in the state back in the 1960s and early 1970s. And after that, I conducted elk research, first elk research that was ever conducted in the state. Normally when I give a presentation such as this, I talk about one or the other, but tonight there is a more pressing matter that needs to be discussed, and that's the deer management program. However, before I get to that, I would like to give you an overview of what I was involved in with bear research and elk research. In the 1960s, the Game Commission realized that the bear population in the state was not doing well. They had few biologists in the Game Commission and no bear biologists, and so they turned to Penn State for help. I was chosen to conduct research in 1969 and 1970. I was the team. I would add here that there was a student that was assigned to the project before I came on board. He assembled a lot of the equipment, some of the traps, leg snares, dart guns, drugs, radio, telemetry, collars. He had a study area in north central Pennsylvania in Cameron County in Wyckoff Run, and over the course of 2 years captured 2 bears there. But he was invaluable to the project because with his bringing together all the equipment, it allowed me to hit the ground running in 1969 and 70. The bear population in the north central, the density was quite low at the time, I realized, And so I shifted operations immediately to the Poconos, north central Pennsylvania, where there was a lot of private land, and the bear population was a little bit denser. I spent 2 years in trapping and tagging as many bears as possible. I did radio telemetry work to study their movements, a lot of habitat evaluation, see what the requirements were for bear habitat. And especially I was interested in aging as many bears as possible, getting an age and sex structure of the existing population to try to determine how many bears there were in the state and what the trend was. Many of the bears were caught in culvert traps, which was a 7-foot section of drain pipe with a trigger at the end. Sometimes, if I was lucky, they were on wheels. And there was a guillotine-type sliding door at the other end, 70-pound door. This particular bear is a 268-pound male that almost caused me to buy the ranch at an early age. I used any means possible to catch bears. I was having a problem with one bear catching it, so I used a can of Campbell's Chicken and Stars, and it worked, and I got him. I remember one afternoon I chased 3 bear cubs around in some high grass for a few hours with a butterfly net. I used snares whenever I could, foot snare. It's steel cable, was hooked onto about a 12-foot system of cable and chains with drags on the end, big hooks. And the premise was that the bear would walk through the forest and he'd step within this snare, and there was a spring-activated mechanism would draw it tight in his ankle. I was pretty proficient at it. I could get the bear to walk in such a way that I could catch him in almost any foot that I predicted. This particular animal I had snared, followed the drag marks through the woods, and lost them. Came a little panic for a while because without getting the snare off the bear's legs, he was doomed. And so scratching my head, I thought, where could he possibly be? There he was in the top of a tree. He had entangled himself with the hooks, and I couldn't really get him down, so I went to the vehicle, the bear bus, got an axe, chopped the tree until it was just about ready to come down, shot him in the rump. You can see the dart there hitting him in the rump, hit the tree one more time, and it came down gradually, just like clockwork. Where's National Graphic when you need them, National Graphic Society. But I caught a small female one afternoon. There's a story with every one of these bears. She was 130-some pounds, and when she was coming out of the drug, she stood up. She was by the Shahola Creek, wobbled over to the bank, and dropped off into deep water. She wasn't recovered enough to swim. She sank. I was a lifeguard in high school, so I dropped my wallet on the bank, went in, and did a bobbing technique in which you go down under the bear, or the person that's drowning normally, push them up by the rump. You get them up to the top where they can breathe, you get a breath, and then go back down and do it again and work them toward shallow water. And I managed to get her over to the shallow water where she recovered. I got a camera and went upstream, and I don't think it was intentional, but when she got her footing, she almost bowled me over. I had to jump off the rock to get out of the way.